Hey, this is Don Warren, and we want to welcome you to the Real Estate Power Zone, where our mission is to empower agents through education. So be sure to subscribe and follow wherever you find us so that you can stay up to date with our content. Today, we have the honor of having Greg Pease to join us. Greg, awesome background. Well, first of all, he's a veteran, so thank you, sir, for your service, sir, on there. Greg is an NLP trainer and the founder of GP Mind Growth Academy, and you can see that behind him there, GP Mind Growth Academy. Nice logo too. Uh, and the academy leads self-discovery, leads transformational retreats and events such as firewalking and more. The certification programs include NLP and timeline therapy at the practitioner and master practitioner level. Today, he's going to be discussing how to grow a referral-based tribe that connects you with everyone you need to help you succeed. I'm as excited as you are. And Greg, thank you for joining us today and to share this information with us.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here, Don, and share this information with everyone that's going to catch us on live. And those that are catching us live, you guys are going to be able to ask some questions. And those of you that are getting the recording, you're going to be able to get the information later and over again as many times as you need so that you can use this in your business to grow your business right now. My goal is inside of the next 30 minutes that I give you enough information. NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, is a very abstract, esoteric, and deep subject. Today, my goal is to sequence the information in a way that I give you just enough so that you can take it out and use it in your business to grow your tribe. What if I told you, what if you could have a tribe of people that would attract all of your future clients for you? This would essentially eliminate all of your marketing. This would essentially eliminate your entire sales department because they would be bringing clients to you that wanted to do business with you. And there is a way to do it. And I'm going to give you two simple steps today. Okay, one of them slightly more than simple, but I'm going to give you all the information you need inside of the next 30 minutes so that you can take these two things and implement them in your business so that you can continue to grow your referral tribe. The first thing is, I had a mentor tell me this a while back, and when I first received the information, it was a little bit confusing to me, but the further I went, the more I understood it. And now I implement this as a steel pole in my business, or a non-negotiable, something that has to go down every single day, all the time. It's by choice. I choose to implement and to discipline this steel pole, and it's your choice too. And what that mentor told me was, stop talking to not your people. He said, never talk to not your people, or you might convince them to do business with you. You see, your tribe is not attracting all of your people to you because your tribe is not pure. Your tribe includes everyone that you arm wrestled into doing business. I'm going to suggest that attraction is way greater than conversion. There's 8 billion people on this planet, and in fact, there's a couple more than that. And if all of them liked me or you, not only would it be weird, but it would be a little bit corruptive. In fact, it would be absolutely corruptive. So there has to be a group of people that don't quite vibe with us. And instead of trying to convince those people that we have pure intentions and that we can help them, allow them to be not your people. This is what the most important thing you're going to do, and the first thing that has to happen in order for you to have a tribe. Once you have a tribe of people that love doing business with you because they were attracted to you, you did not convert them. Then the next step is, how do you love on your tribe? And inside of the next 25 minutes, I'm going to give you $1 million follow-up system on how to love on your tribe. So let's kick off this journey. This is the very the most valuable step that I'm going to give you. This is one that I told you maybe a little bit more than simple. Maybe it's slightly complex. And I'm going to sequence the information so that you can not only receive it and understand it, but implement it and use it in your business. So let's take off. So every single person in every single second, we're receiving up to 2 million bits of information every second. We can just Google this information. A bit is a binary code like a 1 or a 0. 17 bits make up 1 byte. 1024 bytes make up the kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, so on and so forth. So a bit is the smallest form of information, or at least the smallest form that I'm aware of. So 2 million bits of information are presented to each human every second. Now, I didn't say there's 2 million bits of information being passed around the globe. That's not even close to true. That doesn't even start to put a dent in the information that's in the entire globe. That 2 million is what you are intaking every second, every single one of us. Of that 2 million bits of information, that doesn't really mean nothing. That just means like everything that's going on right now is just part of the 2 million. Okay. Of that 2 million bits of information, we're only consciously aware of about 126 bits of information. So what? All it means is that we are unconsciously aware of about 99.9% more than we are consciously aware of. It doesn't mean too much more than that. What we're consciously aware of is real, and we're only conscious of less than 1% of what is actively going on around us in any moment. If you don't believe me, go watch a magic show. This is how magic works. They're operating inside of your unconscious. It just exists. It's just what it is. I said this to my friend one time, and they said, what? We were at a restaurant, and I said, well, like, for example, the song up above. And she said, huh? And she said, oh my God, I love that song. And I said, well, you were unconsciously aware of that song playing 30 seconds ago, but it just wasn't conscious to you. Although that song was there and you were unconsciously aware of it, the information was present for you and you were receiving that information unconsciously. You couldn't have not received that information. And furthermore, now that you're aware of the song, there's something else you're not aware of that you were aware of a moment ago, because we only have this bandwidth. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. This is a little bit tricky for the human mind to comprehend sometimes, and you're allowed to receive it as easy as you'd like. Every single person watching this video right now has a very different reality. Okay, I said very. Maybe it's slightly. But you watching this video right now, it's hard to digest, but nobody, the odds of someone matching your exact reality that you're having right now watching this video, listen to my words, are so slim. Well, let's talk about the odds. Because of the 2 million and the 126, if I were to take 2 million playing cards and lay them out on a table in front of us in piles of 126, there'd be approximately, and I'm rounding up ever so slightly, 16,000 piles of 126. So then one might say that everyone watching this video right now, there's one of 16,000 possible realities that everyone could be watching. So as long as we had 16,001 people watching, 2 people would now have to have the same reality. Oh. Well, let me take it a step deeper for everyone. If I took a playing card off the top of this deck over here, and I took a playing card off the top of this deck over here, and I swapped them and I put them back down, I'd have 2 new decks. Now the potential combination of realities every single second is 43 trillion to the 63rd power. The odds of you and another human being having the exact same reality right now, doing the exact same thing or listening to the exact same words, is disgustingly not likely. Like, you have greater odds of both of you being struck by lightning in the same place at the same time 2 times in a row and being completely and totally safe, and we know that's not happening. The odds of you having the same reality of anyone else. So this takes us into the realization we all were led to believe that we should lead with the golden rule. And the golden rule is treat others, do unto others as you would like done unto yourself. Oh, but they don't have the reality I have. So now let's talk about the platinum rule so we can build out our $1 million follow-up system. And the platinum rule is do unto others as they would like done unto them. So we're going to treat them the way they would like to be treated, because the only way that I can possibly understand that they would like to be treated, I'm going to suggest there's 2 ways. I can understand it from my model of the world, which is definitely going to be different in some way than theirs. And I can try to understand it from my model of the world viewing their model of the world also. but I'm still not going to be dead on. Instead, I'm going to share with you just a little bit of NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, so that you can utilize this in your business, so that you can start to uncover your tribe. Remember, the people that we're doing this with is our people. It's our tribe. We've already stopped talking to not our people. So now no one inside the tribe is not our people. So everyone in the tribe is our people. And so now I want to find out what their model of the world is. And in order to find out their model of the world, how we receive this information, or the 126, how we receive it, and we already know this from school, but we kind of forget it, becomes unconscious, is through our senses. Just like animals have different sensory programs in which they receive information from their environment, we have 5 senses. We can see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. Now, we all favor one of our senses more than the rest of them. That's our favored representational, or our primary representational system, or our favored sensory program. All of us favor one, and so we primarily extract information. We primarily take our 126 and form our reality, either through creating a picture in our head, through listening, through connecting and feeling. And I want you guys to understand that for the rest of this exercise, we're going to release taste and smell. I have yet to encounter a human or hear of someone that has encountered a human in which their primary representational system was taste or smell. I don't know that you've ever met someone and had to get a good whiff of them or a taste of them, but you sure had to see them, hear them, and probably shake their hand and feel them. So while this is one of the senses in which forms our reality, it's not going to be a primary. So knowing that it's not a primary, we can drop it off. Now we're left with 3, and I'm going to put it back up to 4. Allow me to confuse us just a little bit. Okay, I'm kidding. So we have what we see, what we hear, and what we feel. And then I'm going to tell you, inside of here, you're going to hear me refer to auditory and auditory digital. So auditory is what we hear externally, and auditory digital is what we hear inside, so our self-talk. Now, we all have self-talk, but there's a limited amount of people that primarily form decisions based on the self-dialogue. We'll talk about this here in just a moment. So now we have see, hear, feel, and auditory digital, which is that internal dialogue. And now I'm going to talk to you about, now in NLP, it gets very deep on how to, there is eye patterns you can look for to determine someone's primary representational system. Inside of the next 15 minutes, I'm not going to be able to cover all of that, but I'm going to give you just enough so that you can identify the people inside of your tribe, if they're primarily visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or auditory digital. And then I'm going to wrap up in the last 5 minutes, and I'm going to give you the exact follow-up system that I use so that you can keep up with your people inside of their model of the world and their favored representational system. You will be unconsciously connected to them. They won't even understand how to communicate to other people how awesome you are, because this is unconsciously happening for them. Okay, here we go. Visual people. Most of us have no clue what our primary is. Now, if I ask all of you, if I asked everyone, the average person would say I'm kinesthetic, because they say I want to be hands-on. Well, if you're being taught something, you're going to want to put your hands on it. Everyone's going to want to put their hands on it. But a lot less are kinesthetic than they realize. And we'll talk about this in a minute, and I'll have you have some realizations. The last thing is, when I explain AD, most people say, oh yeah, I'm AD, because they know they have an internal dialogue. We all have an internal dialogue, but AD is actually the least amount of people you'll cross. So visual is the highest. 85% of westernized civilization is visual. So if you had to take a stab or a guess, they're probably visual. If you had to take a stab or a guess. 85% auditory is next up. Kinesthetic is going to be the second lowest. and then auditory digital is going to be the lowest. Let's blow through these so you can identify them in your tribe. As I talk about it, you're going to already start realizing, oh yeah, I know a person like that. And go ahead and write that down so you can realize, oh, that person's primary representational, or how they primary receive information, what is most easiest and convenient for them to communicate. Okay. So the visual person is going to be probably a faster talker. They probably are going to like, when you give them an idea, like when you talk about something, you're going to say it once and they're like, all right, cool, let's go. And you're like, what? We got to talk about it. And they're going to be like, no, I got it. Visual people are not smarter than anyone else. They're not. But if I told you to remember a cat, a dog, a tree, a car, and a wheelbarrow in just a few moments, or even in just 30 seconds, or maybe even right now, if I asked you to recite the list back, it would probably be pretty hard because you only heard the list. But oddly enough, if I had shown you a picture of these 5 items, by the end of this conversation or by the end of this call, I could have asked you to recite them and you could have pulled the picture up visually and you would have been able to recite the 5 items. So remember, when you need to remember things, see pictures. With that being said, that's why visual people are like, yep, got it. They formed a picture in their head for what you said. It's frozen frame, it's freeze frame. They got it. They see the whole plan. They see it. They're good. They're gonna talk fast. They don't need to talk long. It's a short conversation. We're ready to go. Why didn't you get it already? They're gonna talk about colors. They're gonna notice colors, bright colors, vibrant colors. They're gonna be the person like, oh my gosh, did you notice that how green those leaves are? They're primarily seeing the things. And then they're gonna use visual predicates. Like they're gonna say things like, well, let me take a look at it. Let me see. I don't quite see what you're saying. And they're going to use visual words in how they speak. The auditory person, let's talk about the auditory person. My favorite representational system is auditory. And you wouldn't believe that people with a primary representational system of auditory like to talk, would you? Ha ha ha. They love to talk and they love to hear themselves talk. They will talk a lot and they will cut you off. I've never done that 10 times a day on accident. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to if I've ever done that to you. Auditory people will cut you off. They want to talk. They're excited. And after you've already told them the idea or the plan and they get done like, yeah, awesome, cool, that's so cool. Then they want to talk about it again. You're like, we just got done talking about it. And you're like, yeah, we're going to go out and we're going to paint the car blue. And they're like, all right, cool, this is super awesome. So we're going to get blue paint and we're going to go out and what are we going to do? You're like, we're going to paint the car blue. What do you mean? They want to hear it again. They're going to be a little bit longer in the process of planning because they have to hear it a couple times because they're remembering it through auditory. And it's a little bit harder to memorize an auditory script than it is to remember pictures. There's a good chance that they are going to, at some level, it happens unconscious. It's unconscious programming. So it's part of the 2 million, but we're only consciously aware of the 126. So I'm not even consciously aware of what I do most of the time for my auditory stuff. My friends will say to me, my NLP trainer peers, I will generally be at a 45-degree angle. I'm trying to get my ear in line with your sound waves. And it's happening at an unconscious level. One time my wife and I were at a waterfall, and if the waterfall was right here, I turned my head like this, and my wife looked at me and she started to say, don't you wanna? And I said, shh. I didn't mean to shush her. But she was interrupting my auditory experience of this waterfall, and she wanted me to see it. She's visual. I didn't need to see it. It was more important for me to hear it. Okay, the next one was our kinesthetic people. Now, our kinesthetic people, and pause, let me go right back. Our auditory people are going to say things like, one time I was out to lunch with my friend, and he said, what do you think about this table? He knows I'm a veteran. He picked one in the corner facing the door, and our backs were against the wall. And he said, what do you think about this table? And I said, it sounds good. He said, how does a table sound good? And I laughed, and we sat down. He makes fun because he knows my primary representational system is auditory. So auditory people will speak in auditory predicates. So they'll say, well, tell me what you mean. Tell me more. They're going to say things like, well, let me listen to it. Or you might say, hey, I'm going to send over the contract. And they might say, okay, perfect. What does it say? They want to hear it from you. The visual person's like, they've already hung up. You're like, I'm going to send over the contract. They already hung up. They're scanning the email so they can see it. But that auditory person is going to ask, what does it say? And you're like, I'm sending it over. And they're like, yeah, but what does it say? So that's a cue. They're auditory. They want to hear the information. All right, the next one is kinesthetic. Kinesthetic are going to be much fewer. So you're going to have a lot of visuals, okay auditories, and then your kinesthetics are going to get a lot fewer and farther between. Your kinesthetic are the person, like you go somewhere and they're like, oh, I don't know. I get a bad feeling about this place. The vibe's off a little bit, right? And your visual people, right? They don't have, now we all have our senses. We all have the 5 senses, right? I say we all. To be fair, most of us do. Access to all 5 of our senses. But the visual person, like the kinesthetic person is speaking a foreign language to the visual person. What do you mean the vibe is off in this building? Because they are not as, the receptors for kinesthetic are not as open for the visual person. So the kinesthetic person, they are very in touch and in tune to how things feel or the vibe. They're going to say things like their representational systems. They're going to say things like, well, I'm trying to get a grasp for what you're saying, but I'm not really catching the vibe, or things of that nature. And then our auditory digital person. Our auditory digital person is the absolute lowest number. There's going to be the absolute fewest of those in your, well, most likely the fewest of those in your tribe, unless you have some of you might have a tribe full of ADs. Your auditory digital people, think engineers, think IT people. They have to hear it out in their head. They're very, very logical. We might think these people or view these people as smart. Think about engineers in IT. We're like, how did they figure that out? But to the engineer, to them, they're like, that's not smart. Like, just logically, like if this has this load bearing, this one has to go here. Like, obviously. And then we look at them like, oh my gosh, they're so smart. But what's actually going on is their 126 is so connected to the head space, they are highly disconnected from the heart space. It is a foreign, like, you want to talk about very different, AD kinesthetic. AD cannot process, like, that's not real that you felt a vibe in this building. And kinesthetic is like, you can't just logically figure everything out. Some things are outside of our explanation. Your AD people, you're going to be able to tell a mile away. Generally speaking, going to be an introvert. They don't have trust of other people. They only trust what they hear inside of their head. They're an introvert, not great with relationships. Probably because it's all logic. There's no connection. There's no feeling. There's trust issues. Okay. Now let's talk about this. To close your AD, if you have an AD person, right? Some people are like, so like, how do we get the AD people? You provide them with information. They have to look over the information and form a decision. So you provide them with information and give them time. They will come back to you and do business with you. They will. Here's why. They do not. They don't trust people. There's a chance they might not even trust you yet, but they trust themselves, and you provided the information and they were able to fact check it. But they don't want to go through this process of regrowing a new relationship with someone else. So they'll come back to you. But you have to give them the information and time, because they do not want to feel like you're trying to convince them. That is a big turnoff to the AD. They have to internally digest here and make this decision. So once you've coded your tribe, now we're on the last couple minutes, let's put this together and give you guys the follow-up system. Here's where the magic happens right here. Make sure you're following along right now. And for those of you that are interested in learning more about neuro-linguistic programming, somewhere around here, we're going to go ahead and have a link for a Calendly. You can reach out and discuss our retreat and certification programs on how you can use and learn NLP and use it in your business at a much, much deeper level. Okay, the follow-up system. So we have 4 primary representational systems. So we have that visual, we have that auditory, we have that kinesthetic, and we have that auditory digital, and we have 4 weeks in the month. So you're going to go into your CRM, you're going to identify who your people are, and by the way, start kicking out not your people. Weed your garden. It's very important. This is how culture is created. This is how your tribe sends you all your referrals. It is not just possible, it is deductive. It just happens when you have culture. You can only have culture by stop talking to not your people. All right. So once we identify our people and we start having conversations and connecting with our people, growing relationships. We start learning our people and their model of the world. We just start hashtagging them in our CRM. So hashtag visual, hashtag auditory, hashtag kinesthetic, hashtag auditory digital. On week 1, I go into my CRM and I pull up hashtag visual. I use BombBomb, use whatever video recording email-based system you like, or you can just pick up your phone and go ahead and do an audio text message. I'm so sorry, video text message, forgive me. So you're going to send your visual people a video. I use BombBomb. You're going to send it to them once a month. You're going to touch them 12 times a year. One of those times are a birthday, and like 10 of the other times are major holidays. Like twice you have to add value. I'm sorry. And you're going to send them a video, and you're going to talk to them in visual predicates. So you're going to say, Tom, can't wait to see you. It was awesome when I saw Tina's pictures on the baseball game last Saturday. Super excited to see you guys next. Reach out if you need anything. It's 30-second, 2-minute video. Let's say you had 100 people in your CRM that are visual. 5 of them are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or whatever or 20. I'm so sorry. I said 5. 20 of them are for the 5 days. There's your 100. Now, if you have 20 people and you send them all a 3-minute video, I'm sorry, this is going to take you an entire hour to love on your people the way they want to be loved on. And you're not asking them for a referral or anything else. Now, I suggest you add some type of value, talk about the blue moon that month, the sale, the stat of something special going on in the community. Add some type of value, why not? But all your visual people, you can add the same value, okay? Week 2 comes around, your auditory people. Your auditory people are going to take a little bit longer, remember, because they want to talk a little bit more. But the good news is your auditory people like hearing themselves talk. So you're going to call your auditory people. You're going to call Greg. You're going to call your auditory people. You're going to put them on speakerphone. You're going to ask them a question, and then you're going to press mute and just start working. And your auditory people are going to talk for a minute. And when they stop talking, you say, Greg, that is so awesome. Can't wait to hear what else is going on. What else you got? And when they're all done, unload, show clear, you'll say, cool, let's connect again. Now, listen, I'm slightly joking. Listen to your people. I'm slightly joking. But seriously, ask your auditory people a question. Let them talk. You don't have to do too much talking for your auditory people. Just let them talk. Just let them tell you about what's going on. Let them pop the top. That's going to feel so good for them. Week 3 comes around, your kinesthetic people, and they get the thing that everyone thinks everyone gets, but they're the only ones that actually get the handwritten letter. Now you're going to have way less kinesthetic people. Remember, I told you the majority was visual, second was auditory. So if you're noticing, as your month goes, your workload gets lighter and lighter. You're going to have way less kinesthetic people, so you're not going to have that many handwritten letters, and that's all relative, depending on how big your database is. But by the way, if you have a database of 10,000, I'm going to suggest you got about 950 people to delete. Okay, I don't know. That's just my opinion. All right, so our kinesthetic people are getting a handwritten letter, and we're using kinesthetic words with them. So we're like, hey, I can't wait to connect with you. I'm so excited. I was so excited to see you last week, or whatever the case may be. So we're talking about emotions, and we're talking about physical words. So connecting with you, I'm excited to connect. And we're sending them the letter because they can pick up and hold the letter in their hand. So it is kinesthetic for them. And plus it has a feeling because you had to take time out of your day to write this letter, but it means something to them. Send a handwritten letter to an AD person and they're going to think you're trying to get one over on them. Like you're trying to win them over and like you're going to push them away. Everyone doesn't get a handwritten letter. It doesn't mean the same to everyone, but your kinesthetic people, you're just going to melt their heart. And then our AD people, the tough crowd. They're really not. They're the easiest crowd. You're just going to send them a report or a credible article once a month. That's it. In email. Nothing else. Your last week is so easy. You're only going to have like 5 or 10 ADs in your whole thing. You may have more, and that's fine if you do. And you're just going to send them a credible report. So send them something about their home equity, something about the recent sales and the development that they live in, something about future businesses coming to the area. Anything that they can logically process that pertains to them in some kind of way. You will be speaking and connecting to all of your people at an unconscious level, so much so that they won't even understand how to explain to other people how awesome you are. They will bring every single person to you. Now, I told you I was giving you 2 things. I'm giving you one more before we get out of here. You don't have to service a referral. Never talk to not your people. Bob sends me Tom. I connect with Tom. I'm not a good fit for Tom. I connect Tom with Joe. I go back to Bob. Bob, thank you for connecting with Tom and always trusting me with your referrals. I will always make sure they are taken care of. Bob was not a great fit for our business, but Joe is a great fit for him. I personally connected him. I'm going to make sure he's taken care of. In the future, continue to connect your people with me. I will always make sure they're taken care of. Whether I'm the right fit or whoever it is, I'll make sure they find the right fit. Do you think people might kind of trust me to send them their referrals? And now it becomes a culture that you can send me referrals. And I'm continuing to keep my tribe pure because I'm never talking to not my people. I appreciate everyone that attended us live. If you guys caught the recording, that's exciting as well. If you have more information, look around, click on the calendar link. You'll book a call with me personally. And for anyone, or Don, I'm not sure what we have on timeline, but I'm open for any questions, thoughts, or anything that anyone has, or whatever our closing is, Don.
Oh, absolutely. And Greg, this is great information. It's a great thing that we recorded this because I know I'm going to have to go back through and just kind of, okay, what was he was saying on some things? Because it is a lot of information, but you built a great base to know how you need to follow up, and just being able to zone in on those keywords or how they communicate really helps. And yeah, I know some people. One thing that I I notice is, and that I've done is, I've used kind of the scatter shot of okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I may do send out videos or text, or talk to people or send certain things, but being able to refine that, I can see where that can really extremely be good to help on there. And now one thing that would be interesting is, I know that these can be kind of primary, but how many would you say that just kind of have overlapping, and that, hey, they might be visual and some auditory or logical. I feel like I've got some of that in each one of me, but I also recognize certain things as, hey, that's my primary. You talk to me in that way, you connect with me that way, and I'm good on that.
Yeah. So a great question. 100%, Don. That's a great question for everyone listening. And just to recap it, Don's asking like, hey, we have a primary, but how much is there overlap? I'm going to say there is always overlap, period. We are always using all of our senses. Okay, always. Okay, listen, as long as we have availability to it. Some of us are not privileged in that level, but as long as we have access to all of our senses, while I'm primary listening, my eyes are still open. I'm still taking in visuals. So we do have a primary and a secondary, and obviously a tertiary and going on. Each one is gonna be slightly less. Some people have a primary and secondary that are extremely close, and then they're pretty much interchangeable. One of them is going to be ever so slightly more than the other, but they can, and I've encountered, and you may encounter, if you're like, man, like 50% of the time they're giving me visual cues, but 50% they're doing auditory, you can interchange and use either. They're so close for that person, it's okay.
Wonderful. And I know one thing I do, and I don't know if this might help for us to be more aware of that we can tune into it. But I always ask people, how is it that they like to be contacted?
Beautiful.
On
Beautiful.
there, because there's just so many different ways to contact people on there. So I try to, what's their best method. I know personally, hey, I would love just to be able to send out something on Messenger or text or something and not talk to people. I'm okay with that, but I also understand that, hey, people prefer to talk by phone, or hey, email may be something that's just better for them on there. So
Don, that's powerful. Like, and you might even like, I'm coming up with this as you speak right now, but you might even ask your people, like, say, hey, if I was gonna, when I'm gonna transfer some information about this transaction to you, would it be better if I sent you a video where you could see my screen and I was explaining it? Would it be better if I did a phone call, or should I send you some documentation? And that's really gonna, like, that person, they're gonna tell you like, hey, this is what's gonna feel better for me. That's, whatever it is. Go ahead, Don.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, because I know this will help me to be to really help zone in and listen and pay attention, because there's just so much going on. But yes, stop talking to not your people.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
that. I saw that one time and go, "What the heck is he talking about?" And so it's like, what? So I'm glad that you explained that today. Anybody have any questions? All right. Well, what we're going to do is, we're going to uh, go ahead and get this ended. But Greg, I really appreciate your time today. We will have this on various platforms, and people reach out to Greg. He can help you be successful, be able for you to use your mind, be able to use what you have, and be able to tune into talking to your people on there. He's also has a lot of other great information that he can help you with. So make sure you do that. Greg, thanks again, and hope to have you on some other time.
Super awesome. It was exciting, Don. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.